Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about the Niche Zero and whether you should buy one in 2024. So the Niche Zero, a grinder that took everyone by storm, especially in the single dosing market. One that is still hugely popular today, not only in the new market, but also the second-hand market. So if you've got one, you're thinking of selling it, you get a superb return on your investment, a bit like an iPhone if you like. You know, people are still after them. But do I recommend you buy one in 2024? Well, I'll tell you what, when I got one, it was basically because you could not get one for love nor money. So I jumped on, I don't know, the niche train, whatever you want to call it, and I just bought one, not knowing that it was conical, not knowing anything about it. I just bought one because it was the grinder to get at the time and you couldn't get one. So, you know, it was a bit like everyone was saying it was the next best thing. It was the best grinder for the money. And also I'd got a bit of an envy and a bit like, well, if everyone's getting one, I want one. And I was a bit curious. But you know, in 2024, do I think it's still the best purchase? So that all depends on the coffee you want to brew. Now, if you're after an espresso grinder, it is an espresso first grinder, so that's first tick. If you are someone who likes milky drinks, so you're not really interested in the nuances of coffee, if you like, you just like an espresso that cuts well with milk, you can get some of those nice, usually chocolatey, nutty, it's the medium darker roasts, then this grinder is perfect for you. And I don't think that's necessarily an issue with the niche. I think that's the conical in general, the 63mm Mazza burr that it uses is more aimed at a medium to darker roast. So if that's your type of roast, perfect. I'll definitely say it's worth an investment. It's a great grinder in that. But if you're the type of person who leans more on the newer wave of coffee, this lighter and lighter roast where we're getting much more juicy flavors, more floral elements, all these jasmines and all these really like mango-y exotic fruits, I don't think it's a grinder for you. And the reason I say that is because this delivers sort of a blended cup. So it'd be a bit like, maybe on its own you could taste a strawberry and you could taste a mango. So that, you've got the two separates. But if you've got that in this grinder, it's like you've mixed them together in a blender. And you really don't get that flavour separation, you get that mixture, which is not always great. You also get quite a muted acidity. So that a lighter roast tends to be more acidic, darker, bitter. Now, that acidity, that bright sort of that clarity as people call it, and the brightness in the coffee, it doesn't come through with the niche, not with me anyway. And that's with me having it all dialed into the pressures I like and all of that good stuff. The ratios that I like to drink espresso, usually 2.5 to 1, especially the lighter roasts. I like them a little bit longer because lighter roasts are more basically they're less, I think soluble is the word. So basically to extract more of that flavour, technically you need more liquid. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about extractions and all of that stuff. We're talking about this grinder. So with that in mind, lighter roasts, I don't think it's a great option for you. Filter, again, this grinder is known to produce fines. And fines are great for espresso. They help clump the puck together. But in filter, they're a no-go. And if you brew in anything with a paper, with this, you will see a lot of the fines collected up the side. Now, you may think, oh yeah, they're not in my cup, but they are. The water's already passed through them. So you will get what I would call a muddy cup. So with that, it's an okay cup of coffee. Don't get me wrong, it's better than a Costa, but it's not what you would expect really from a specialty coffee. But I think it can do everything, but it doesn't do everything well. It's like a jack of all trades, master of none. Now, I guess every grinder is that. But what I am trying to say is if you're trying to do light espresso or you're trying to do filter, don't bother getting one. You really can spend your money elsewhere. I mean, for filter, Fellow Gen 2, cheaper. And then there's probably the contentious subject of probably for filter, picking up something like a DF64 Gen 2, again about £100 cheaper. And you really will get a better light espresso. Now, medium darker roasts, I think it competes well there. I think anything where you want to mix it with milk, I think especially medium dark roast, I think it does well there. And I genuinely think this grinder was conceived back in probably 2015, launched on a Kickstarter style campaign in 2017. Back then, I don't think light roast was a thing. So, this was geared at the more traditional coffee and the 9-bar shots. And it does that very, very well. But one thing I would say is if you're still on the sort of fence and you maybe don't know what you're looking at and you want a grinder which does everything, then it is in with a shout. But I think you've just got to be prepared to accept that there are some drawbacks. It is more suited to things than others. But a couple of things that it has going for it which are really good. The workflow, obviously you chuck the beans into the dosing cup, into the top, through your grind, give it a knock, give it a twirl. You ease the adjustments on the top there. You've got the little ball bearing. You probably can't pick that up on the camera, but the little ball bearing there. Backwards, forwards on your adjustments. It is an absolute joy to use. There is no doubt about that. It is hands down probably the best workflow, especially in its price point, without doubt. So if that's something you're wanting, then it may be worth consideration. Also, again, conical rather than flat burr, the advantage is cleaning. So you literally just take it apart and you put it back in. There's no having to get the carriers sometimes a certain way so the burrs are aligned. Again, that's something you don't have to worry about with shimming, etc. if they're not. This, it just goes together super easy. Niche give you all the tools. And I do think it does look a bit kitchen appliancey. Some people may like that, some people not. I don't know if this is fact or fiction, but I believe the guys who started Niche, one of them used to be a designer for Kenwood appliances. That could be absolute nonsense, but I'm pretty sure I've read or heard that. So that would make sense. Does look a bit like a mixer in a way. When I bought it, I didn't really consider that. I just jumped on it, and I don't think it's bad looking. You can obviously get black or white, and I think it is a good grinder, but if you were to ask me again, would I personally buy one now at £538 or whatever it is? Honestly, no. For my type of coffee, I'm getting more into filter coffee now, especially with drinking it at work with the Clever Dripper and the Hario Switch, which I use there. I don't think I'm getting the best out of the coffee I want to use. And I'm also starting to drink more espresso, more lighter and lighter espresso. And I'm also cutting those lighter espressos with milk and enjoying those. So I think really it probably is time for me to move to a flat burr grinder. But, I have enjoyed my time with this grinder and I'll probably still keep it. But I just think it's got its use cases and I think that's where it sits. So I think milky drinks, dark, medium dark and medium espresso win. Filter, light roast of any kind, there's better out there. And I think that basically wraps it up. So nice, short, sweet. Any questions about it, anything you want to know, let me know. Please like, please subscribe, guys. Slowly building this channel. We'll get there. We'll get there for something decent. Apologies for the lack of content. I'm trying to film stuff when and where I can. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.